And we're back. We're back like we never left. We're back another week for All-Star Fandom as we go through our Star Wars Skeleton Crew episode review. This is going to be episode 4, but obviously I am now alone with this. But first, I want to just say a special shout out to Jen and Big Dog for holding it down yesterday for the Lord of the Rings review. If you haven't seen that, go ahead and hop into onto our YouTube channel, or you're here already. Go look at that one. They did a really good job and makes me want to see it because I didn't see it and I was MIA. So again, really good job on doing that yesterday. But sort of get all the housekeeping stuff out because this was a fun episode. Be sure to follow All-Star Fandom on Instagram and, as Jen say, on TikTok as long as we have it. And then follow us there. We put up clips from the show there. Got a really loyal base there. About 1,000 or so followers over on TikTok too. Again, until it lasts. See how long it lasts. We'll see in January. But also, Jen, you're a regular on the show now. Let the people know where they can find you too.
You can find me at Instagram and TikTok at Nerdiqua. And then my other handle is at rocking_your_bald for my podcast, Rocking Your Bald, on Instagram. So that's where I will be.
Yeah, so we're getting into this episode. I'm gonna lob this one up. I'm gonna play point guard mostly tonight. So
I'm usually the one that ping pongs everywhere.
But I'll throw it over to Doc. First, we're gonna go through a synopsis of that episode 4. Then we're gonna break it down into Act 1, Act 2, Act 3, so we don't miss anything. So, Doc, if you would please give us a little recap of episode 4.
All right, here we go. In episode 4, Star Wars Skeleton Crew, titled "Can't Say I Remember No At the young adventurers Fern, KB, Wim, and my favorite Neel, they arrive at Achrann, a war-torn planet eerily similar to the home of At-Atten. They encounter two warring factions, the Troiks and the Hattons. Neel befriends a young lady named Hannah, a Troik soldier, and grapples with the violent lifestyle of the clan. Meanwhile, Jod and SM-33 negotiate with the Hattons to retrieve stolen Eopes, aiming to aid the Troiks. The crew discovers the fallen sanctum, resembling At-Atten's supervisor's tower. Containing the coordinates to a similar planet, At-Atten is mysteriously erased. SM-33 reveals that he destroyed the coordinates under his previous captain's orders, and upon attempting to recall more, he turns hostile, attacking the group before Jod deactivates him. And we pick it up from there.
And Neel goes night-night for a little while.
Now, let me know.
Do not hurt Neel. Do not hurt him. That was too close.
I don't know if y'all. I probably went through that really fast. I heard you clicking.
Well, sorry about it.
You know what though? Like he pulled the Neville Longbone. He's like, "Hey, kapak!"
Oh yeah. Yes.
I was so proud of them. Anyway, sorry.
So if we jump over, thanks for the synopsis of episode 2, and what we're gonna do now,
episode 4.
Yeah, 4. My goodness, it's been a rather long week for you boy. I went back 2 weeks ago. I went back 2 weeks ago.
Wait, what happened?
Yeah. So with episode 4, we start off, as he so eloquently put it, we land on a planet that looks similar to it. So Jim, this first act, we'll take this first act from the landing all the way up until they meet a new friend. Ew. And that new friend became one of Neel's best friends, it seems like. But Jim, what do you think about this part?
Oh my goodness. There was a moment where I was asking, does Neel not think everyone else, like all of them are not his friends? I mean, Wim is his friend, but now he's like, wait, I have a friend. I'm like, wait, what's happening?
Yeah.
This was really centered around Neel.
This week, yeah.
This week was really centered on Neel. So that was very interesting. And I love the fact that this episode is the kids being the kids. and they're having real moments where things are affecting them, and it's causing them to think and to question things because now they're in the real world, and it's like, this is reality.
Yep.
And then it's interesting with this planet that they're on, one of the 9 jewels that we learned about in episode 3 with Kim, it basically looks like Achrann, and it could be to what you asked last week, Doc, about, what will happen to the planet. This is what will happen to the planet. If pirates come and go, hi, give us your riches.
Yep.
Or if somehow Palpatine returns again, it will just be worse.
Yeah.
But I know we'll get to this later, but oh gosh, like with how I've been talking about Palpatine each week, there's more to say. But yeah, that this whole first act was so good. It was so powerful. I like that we had a shift of tone in the show, and we're and the kids are starting to realize, yeah, you're in the real world. This is outer space, and people die.
Yes, they do.
Well, it was getting really real for him. Doc, on that note, through that first act, a lot happened. We got Job being babysat, which was the funniest part of the
oh my gosh, he's like,
the episode. Come on, baby.
Come on back, yes, make him step, baby. I was like, get him, Smee.
Don't make me start counting.
Don't make me start counting.
I think he even says 1, and John's like, oh. That was fantastic.
Oh my goodness, dude! This episode was so good, and the first scene when they were landing the ship, and you can see the look on William's face, like, oh man, it was just getting fun. Like, we have to go home, but then when he discovered, like, this is not Achrann. Like, this looks like Achrann, but this is not it. And then he kind of perked back up, like, like, we're still in the adventure.
Yeah.
Okay. And he goes back to being reckless, like, what's this?
Yeah. And when he when they meet the masked soldier, well, at first when I saw him, I said, man, are those little Mandalorians? I was like, what we doing here?
Oh, the little Easter eggs on this planet.
Oh, look at
him. My gosh. She looks good though. Can I just say, like, that is a really cool look.
And then the first time she did the flip and the slide, did you see how William perked up, like, oh, we can do that?
It's like, that is amazing.
That is amazing, right? So,
and we can sort of foreshadow into the future when he gets an opportunity to slide. But we'll get to that point.
Yeah.
We'll get to that point.
and
cue the song Defy Gravity.
During their search of Achrann, they come upon these people, and they're warriors. And so eventually, this leading to the second act, the warriors take them back to the leader. So, but I was enjoying the whole fact that they were exploring this planet, thinking they were home, but then realizing they're not home. And I appreciate the fact that they let the story kind of play out. Like, they're not trying to make these children be adults. They're letting them discover things, which is what I appreciate during this show. It's like they're letting them discover it and kind of figure it out.
Yeah.
And like you were saying earlier, Jen, how they're coming to realize, like, all the planets aren't like ours. All planets aren't peaceful. There are mean people in the world. There are mean people in the universe.
Yeah. You said something a moment ago that I wanted to piggyback on, but no, definitely. I mean, the thing I want to say is in the section of Act 2, but I want to go back a little bit because there's just some little interesting factoids. Did you want to say anything else, Doc?
No. Jim, let's get it.
Okay, so when we arrive on the planet, Jod says, he says, it tastes like ash and dust. It's a lot like my plant, like my home planet, actually. That was interesting because what a lot of people don't know is Mustafar. People just know episode 3, but that's only a small portion of the planet. That's not the whole planet. So when Palpatine was, at his height in the original series, he actually took Force sensitive children to Mustafar to study them. So it is possible
that he was one of those children.
That he was one of those children that was Force sensitive, because the other thing about children who are Force sensitive that do get taken to the temple, there's also the possibility that Jod, when he was a child, was not a Padawan yet, but he was already getting training. He hadn't been chosen to be a Padawan and get a master yet. And he probably, so there's that possibility, but he probably got taken by Palpatine, taken to Mustafar to be studied, and probably lived and was being raised on Mustafar and was being trained to a degree to see what he could do with his Force abilities.
Wow.
Boy,
that's a good connection right there.
This is why you have a spot at the table.
Yeah.
Oh, when he said that, I was like, "Are you from Mustafar?"
Yeah.
What?
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So every time, it's like every episode, there are nods to Palpatine, like these possibilities of Palpatine being in here, which makes sense to his character because he's literally everywhere.
Yeah. I was gonna say if there's any connecting tissue that could expand throughout the Star Wars universe, it's Palpatine, right? Like that would be what that could be like the string, that could your anchor, right?
Yeah.
For lack of a better term, right?
Yep.
Well, the actor even said, Sir Ian, who we love very much, he said in one of the most recent celebrations, he's like, "Oh, he's always lurking around." I was like, that means you've been busy. Yep. Okay, thank you.
So with that being Act 1, again, really good start to this episode because it starts getting your sort of detective hat on. Like, wait a minute.
Yep.
This is what's gonna happen to them if, like you said, pirates show up to the party. This could possibly be the outcome. But then there's more things that comes up throughout the rest of the episode, especially that ending where we're like, hold on one sec. Jen, you had something.
I did. So one of the things that you notice on this planet, there are no droids anywhere. So there's a new theory that a fan somewhere in Discord and another fan base channel, I didn't get the name because I wanted to give credit, I just forgot to note it, so forgive me. The new theory is with Achrann is that it's actually run by the droids, and that there is a program, not a person, that's the supervisor, which we've seen in other sci-fi stories. So it's basically another Wizard of Oz reference. Don't pay attention to any attention to the
or iRobot sort of deal where it ended up being not a person, but the actual
there's even an episode about that in Star Trek where there's a planet they travel to, and then there's a machine named Lloyd or something.
I remember this episode.
Yeah,
yes, I remember that
that's also a nod to that episode. Like, they're doing a lot of sci-fi references in the show. There's a ton of sci-fi Easter eggs. Like the kids, for example, Kids Against Adults, The Lost Boys from Peter Pan, Lord of the Flies. There's so many Easter eggs.
Yeah, it felt very Lord of the Flies until I did see a few adults, and then I'm like, okay, at least one. Her pops is there. But
he's not a good cop. I'm like, you're making your kid fight? Okay.
Well, let's move into that. So that's who our skeleton crew meets, and they are said like, hey, if they want to find out this information of Achrann, they have to essentially, what I figured out at the end was like be bait. It felt like, but that's how I felt.
That's exactly how I felt.
That's pretty how I felt. Okay, I wasn't the only one on, but during that time, we got some really good shot offs. Wim fulfilling every boyhood dream.
Oh my gosh!
Just shooting blasts.
Every time something comes up, he is just gone. He's like, what? There he goes. There he goes.
Yeah, our boy Neel was like, "Shoot, you be doing that?" Like, he's like, "No,
it's fine.
He's like, but within that Act 2, we also get that we get Neel, more Neel in this episode. This was the best because my goodness,
it showed his true character and how sweet of a being he is. Like, he is so caring towards others. And
he really
that's what
is.
that's what the young warrior liked about him. How do you pronounce her name? Is it Hyena?
I think it's pronounced Hyena.
Hyena. That's what she liked about him. Like, she's never seen kindness like that, because apparently, like her dad said, we treat the children here like adults. So she probably been fighting since she could stand and walk.
Did you see how well she was equipped at the
yeah.
beginning? Like,
Oh yes.
Yeah. Like I could see why you said that you thought she was a Mandalorian, because she came in acting like one.
Yeah. She came in ready for whatever it was, whatever the business was, we gonna handle it. And she never saw a softer side of anything, anybody, you know. And then little Neel, he was like, look, I can school you. You know, I can come talk to me. Let's have a little talk.
This is what I love about this moment between the two of them. You know, he was homesick.
Mm-hmm.
He's out in the real world. He's seeing what it's really like. And he's like, this is not what my home is. I just want to go home. Why just can't it be like this? Why can't we just apologize? Why can't we do this?
Yep.
Peace was the only thing he wanted. Like, why is peace so hard?
That was the most innocent thing a child could say in that moment. He was like, why are y'all fighting? He said, if it was me, I would just say I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And let's have peace.
Let's have peace. I mean, and what he doesn't understand yet with some of these cultures and civilizations, that's easier said than done.
Yeah.
Of
course. But in this particular scene right here, Jen, did you catch the way Neel scooted towards her?
Right? But then even Wynn is looking at her like.
So it's just like, it's like the cutest little build up to a love story. And what I like about it is like just
I know this is Act 3. I know this is in Act 3, but I listen to here. She kisses him.
Yeah, it's like it is so cute. Like, it's just a coming of age story. And what I like, it reminded me of kind of like that My Girl type story.
Yes.
I appreciated it, you know? Like, I was like, this is cute. It's cute because they're not pushing the envelope too much. You know what I'm saying?
No,
it was letting kids be kids and explore and experiment, you know, come out of their shell, so to speak. So yeah, man, the second act was all Neel for me, man. From when he offered the food to the young children sitting there who was hungry.
He was just being himself.
Yeah. The conversation he had with I'm missing her name. Hyena. Yeah.
Hyena. Okay.
From when she was At first I thought that was her name, Hyena. And then when she just started showing him around and everything, I mean, it was just a nice, I enjoyed the second act a lot, you know.
Well, then obviously for them to get the information, you brought it up in the synopsis too, how Ja makes a deal with the other. What did they say when they came up? What flag do you rep? What did they say?
Flag? Yeah, what flag do you represent?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
And the fact that he made a deal with let's say the credits that he found.
And see, I
can't
thought
forget about that part.
That was in that was in Act 1. I think
that was in Act 1. Yeah, that was in Act 1 when he found the credits.
And then in Lester, he's like, "Oh, we have a thief."
Yeah, I thought he was going to hurt him when he saw him messing with that sock.
Well, let's jump back just a little bit for that part too, for how SM33 started just going haywire there when
started remembering
he started like he's starting to piece it together.
It's like the scene in Treasure Planet with Ben, because this is basically a Treasure Planet reference.
Yeah.
And which stems from Treasure Island, because that's what that movie's based off of. It's just the space pirate interpretation.
The base one,
also voiced by the brilliant Martin Short in that film. There's so much. We love you. It's very reminiscent to that, where Captain Flint in that movie basically just pulls out the section of his brain so he doesn't remember, and then Smee gets reprogrammed. Because we start getting those pieces of, oh yes, I remember this planet. There's nasty buggers out there. And then I actually love that when they're standing outside, he goes, oh yeah, I remember this, including all these people out here. What people? And the frog moves.
Yeah.
And there they are.
Yeah.
So upon making the deal, the kids are then sent out, and that's where we see Ja, who made the deal to save them. I thought that was a really good scene too, because we have kids going out again, used as bait. It felt like,
Yeah,
Oh, they were.
because ain't no way you can train in 3 hours to go. No.
And they know that. And they know that.
All right, guys. Hey, he told, hey, Captain Fern, go ahead and lead your people. Go ahead.
yeah, I will admit this scene was, if there's a level of intensity in this scene aside from the end, it's this because you can hear Neel or see Neel's face and hear how he's talking. It's like, this isn't right. Like, what are we doing? Like,
what are we doing?
I'm not.
Why am I here?
Exactly.
Why didn't I go home?
Yeah.
And you feel it. You feel it like, oh my God, this is gonna turn out.
I mean, like the moment Neel said in the beginning, he's like, I can't breathe through my nose. I'm like, oh no, you need to breathe.
Yeah. And he was trying to blow his little.
Clear out the trunk, people. Give him something.
Did you all notice how this was shot? I know this whole planet was gray, but it was a darker episode with the way it was shot. The camera.
You have to pay attention to lighting too with these shows, because most of the time it's gray. Then this is in Act 3, but when they're walking to the tower, it gets brighter.
Yeah.
But then when we get into the tower,
it gets dark
again.
Yeah.
Like there's so many exterior clues to what's going on with the storytelling. But I love Neel. He's like, we're saved.
Yeah.
Boy,
but you know, that's not the first time. That's not the first time, because remember the first time when he met John, he held his hand.
Yeah.
That part? And so that's what shows he's a very emotional little character, you know.
He really is.
But I think it's really well. It's a really well put together sort of crew too, because all of them have their different personalities. Wim is like he'll go off at a whim, you know. It's in his name essentially. He'll press that button when you tell him not to press it.
Yeah, he literally goes, okay.
Yeah. Neel, he's a soft side. He's the more well thought out. Like, hey, let's think about this. Should we be doing this? And it gets into it about, what was it? Act 3. I think we're moving into it now.
Yeah.
Where Fern, we get more of her sort of
her personality.
Exactly. Jen, if you want to jump us into that, I think that'll be a good next step to sort of, wait, let's back up. Was that after we found out all about the other places they hate, the other hidden planets?
That's in Act 3 when they get upstairs.
Act 3. Okay.
Yeah.
So was Fern's in Act 3 as well?
Yes.
Her breakdown? Okay. Yeah, let's jump into that part, because she's carrying the weight of this crew on her shoulders. She asked to be captain, but she was like, I'm going to lead people. Well,
she didn't ask. She just said she was.
Yeah. She kind of demanded.
You're right. She said she was.
She goes, I'm the captain. And Wim's like, I wanted to be the captain. She just said she was.
So let's get into that part. Like how, again, we're fleshing out this crew. Everybody sort of had their moment to shine, their sort of episode arcs. Hers, this is the first time we've seen her vulnerable.
Yeah.
Well, this scene is interesting. So just real quick, because this happens before that moment. So we discover the other 9 jewels and their names. We have
let's talk about
at A2, if I'm saying that right, AYTW, at Arisi, at Achrann, and at Akota. So this is basically taken from Greek mythology a little bit, where certain phrases in Greek mythology are called the in another language. This is probably what this is. This planet, this planet. It's probably that, and what was interesting about that scene, that each one had coordinates on where they were in the universe. And then we're going to get to the next bit a little bit later. So we discovered this, but then as they're looking around, this is when Fern kind of goes off. And I think Fern was she's having leadership overload anxiety, and she's triggered at the same time, because this is what her mother does to her. Her mother puts on her so much pressure to be the best daughter, the best student, this and that, because she says, why do I always have to be the one that does everything? So she's also having leadership fatigue, but she's a natural born leader. We see that in her because she's really leading everybody. But then she has a real moment where she's like, I have no idea what I'm doing.
Yeah. She admitted it.
She admitted it. And then Wynn becomes vulnerable. It's like, yeah, you do. I mean, you've got us this far.
Yeah, my man was like, I wouldn't have got us this far.
Yeah,
I wouldn't have got us this far. No, because
he admitted that. Yeah.
he's a ping pong. He comes in. Wynn is a ping pong.
Yeah.
It's like, I wouldn't have gotten this far. Trust me.
No.
At least he knows, though.
And he pays her a beautiful compliment of how brilliant she is, because she is brilliant. I know she's annoying, but she's brilliant at the same time. But it was just really good to see, to like what you said earlier, Doc, you know, the kids are being kids. They're reacting as children are. Like, they're being put in tough adult situations, and now they have to adult while they're still children.
Yep.
So that's a lot for a kid. And the other thing is, what are children taught growing up? Don't talk to strangers.
Yep.
And they're with two strangers, Smee and Jod.
Hoping to trust them.
Hoping to trust them.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so far, Smee, up until the point we're coming to, you know, has come through. And then, you know, Jod surprised them, like, yeah, I saw your credits, but I used it to get you back.
Yeah.
Oh,
find my dataries.
That's what I'm saying.
Wynn was sad. He was broke. He was like, you find my dataries.
Yeah.
You found my money.
But he bought a whole herd of Eopies, though.
And saved their life, right? Yeah. And saved their life. So
well, no, because he chose them. He's like, I actually want those four. You don't want our best friend? No, I want them. I want them.
Yeah.
But then he's like, well, what kind is that? He's like, I'm joking. I'm joking. Sorry. But it's like I said last week, you know, these kids are gonna rub off on him a little bit, so he's gonna have a character crisis. We're building to it. It's coming.
Do I rob you blind and destroy your planet, or do I? Because we didn't see any of the other pirates in this one. And we know that they're going to be hot on their tails wherever they go.
But here's a question. Here's a question for y'all. How do we know those two warring factions aren't pirates?
Okay.
I mean, to be on one side of the coin, the context clues, because they're on a planet like at Achrann. Like, if you look at the background, the buildings are the same, the tower is the same. There was a bus with the same robot that drives the kids to school. The school building was the same.
It's exactly the same.
So there was a lot of mirroring of if pirates were to attack, or if the theory is proven true that Palpatine did something to just wreck this planet because it was a contingency plan in case he falls out of power.
I was gonna say, check this. What if he went there and got all the resources that he needed? Which
he has done before. Yeah. We have seen that throughout ever since he came to rule the Empire. He has done that. That's also part of his narrative. That could have been that too. And he just left these people. And that's how they come to this war. Because the other thing back in Act 1 we saw all of these star bases in the sky around the planet. So it's either one of two things. It's either the Empire that was watching the planet on behalf of Palpatine and destroyed the planet once, you know, he fell out of power, or those were the machines that were creating that planet's barrier to protect the planet.
Yeah.
So it's one of those two things too. But yeah, Fern with her leadership crisis, you know, we have a moment where Fern is starting to unravel, which of course should happen. She's a kid.
Yeah.
She's a kid. She's a kid who can't find her home. Like, that's the scariest, like as a kid, that's quite possibly the scariest thing. You get lost like in a store. You can't find your parents. That's a scary moment. If you just wander off anywhere, that's your safe place and you can't find it.
Or I've seen this happen when I used to live in Florida and go to Walt Disney World. The family's not paying attention and a kid doesn't see their family and they're surrounded by strangers in a place that's not home.
Yeah.
That's freaky.
So after a while, once we look at all the other ats before
all of the ats at the atting.
We see one that has just been torched out. The coordinates completely gone.
Torched out, man.
And somebody wakes up.
Torched out. He like,
Like
He hammer time that stone.
And somebody sort of wakes up. But the way we wake up is that Fern, again, in her moment of crisis, she still thinks of an idea that she can use, an idea that she used on her own droid to crack Jen. You want go ahead?
Right. No, to your point. Exactly. Like she recalled, wait, droids do what they're told. But this is also because he's starting to remember. He's like, oh, yes, I was here. You were? Yes, I was. And blah, 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 blah. I've never heard of an Atten. Blah, blah,
I ain't
blah,
never
blah.
heard of no Atten.
Right. He's on his program. So when she says memory override, remember everything about Attens. Ah, yes. Now I remember. I was here. The captain that I was serving, he killed anyone that looked at and we're like, keep going, keep talking. You're giving us so much goodness. This is definitely
and then he started getting big on them kids.
Oh, yeah.
He bowed up, didn't he?
That was such a cool shot. That's like a fisheye lens to make it really eerie. So that whole scene, I was like, oh, they know what they're doing.
He said, and the captain told me to turn him limb from limb. Limb from limb.
But what was interesting, though, but what was interesting, though, when 33 starts talking is the camera cuts to Jod for 1 second because he's like, hold on.
Yep.
Like you have to also pay attention to when the camera cuts to certain characters in certain scenes because that also gives information about something. Because then he's like, give me the laser, give me the laser.
Yeah, he was ready, and especially with I think him trying to back in Act 1 help him remember. He was like tracking it, and that could be like him looking at it like, oh, I think he got it. I think whatever he was saying in the Act 1, he remembers it now. Yeah, and what he's saying now, because he bowled up on Jod like that. Yep. He knew what was. He did. He knew the business.
Did. That's not the first time he's done that. He did that in episode 1. He did that in episode 2. Like he basically put the torch on, standing behind the kids, where they're like, "Who are you? What's the truth? What's the truth?"
So then, with Jod's quick thinking, he shuts him down. But we got to give props to the guy before, or the person before that, Neel throwing that rock.
Oh yeah, hey, leave him alone.
That was like the New Yorkers helping Spider-Man out, man. Like that's what happened.
Or the Ninja Turtles.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, leave him alone.
No, hold on. Go back for a second. Do you know when that blaster wouldn't work? You know what my first thought was? They gave them kids blasters that didn't even work and sent them out in the front of the whole troop.
To Dion's point, they were bait.
Man, that was messed up, bro.
They would have died.
You're right.
They would have died.
That was messed up. But then Neel, quick thinking, pick up a stone. Hey, get up off of him. And then John hit the switch. Then it fell on my little homie.
Oh man, Neel.
Neel had enough. I'm out of here.
But think about this image though. Like Smee, I'm calling Smee now. He's on top of it.
Mr. Smee.
He's over him like very like Terminator Sarah Connor.
Yeah, man.
Pretty much.
Man.
Can't get to
That's
that button
another
quick
80s
enough.
reference.
Yeah, exactly.
Man.
But what a way to end that episode with our boy Neel being the hero after this was his episode, man. Like
this was
his build up. We loved everything he went through. We love his character and just what he stands for. And on top of that, we talked about how, he questioned friends. Well, this is what you do for a friend here.
Yep.
And that's his crew now. Like those are his friends. Wim was his friend, but they're slowly becoming a family now.
Yep.
Yeah, but now everyone, because they were forced into a situation where they had to rely on each other.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
They had to. Before, they were just kind of like all over the place, just like, okay, how do we get home? It's like, okay, well, I'll just think for everyone, it's fine, and then we'll just get home. But now they're in a situation like, we might die if we don't
get home.
Together. Well,
or if we don't stay together.
Oh yeah,
we had, which is funny because in episode 2, what do? They split up.
Mm-hmm.
And now in this one, they stay together.
Yeah. Man, Jen, I want to throw it back to you. Any little gems, any little Easter eggs that we may have overlooked throughout this episode that you like to let?
So I wish I would have sent you these images. So one of the fighters on the planet, one of the adults, there's a general called General Fierce, VEERS, in one of the older movies. He had a certain helmet in the Empire.
Mhm.
One of those fighters was wearing that helmet. I'm like, oh, hi, where did you get that helmet? That's from the Empire, from this general.
That's why those that other group knew what that money was.
Right. So there were like little Easter eggs like that too. It's like, oh, I know that helmet.
Mm-hmm.
That's from the Empire. How'd you get that helmet? I'm curious now. So what? So there was that, and then we talked about that already. I have like 3 pages of notes.
Yeah, we got time. Okay, I do have a question. Was there some purpose behind the hologram message that Ja found? It was a short clip, played a little music, and then
that's the holiday special.
Okay, I knew it had to be something. I knew it had to be something because he just tossed it to the side. Every time
I hear it, I'm like, why are they forcing the holiday special down our throat?
Is this a holiday special with Chewbacca and his family?
Yes, that one. That traumatized.
Oh my goodness!
That traumatizes everybody. Okay, I'm gonna say this for the.
Doc, have you seen it?
I have not.
Oh my goodness!
You haven't?
I have not.
Oh.
Okay, Doc, I'm gonna tell you this. There are very few things the Star Wars fan base agrees on, but this is one of the few things. We do not encourage anyone to watch the original holiday special, but if you so choose to, by non-exterior forces, we consider you a legitimate fan, because that's basically your you cross the board. It's like, oh, you watch that? You're a fan. You are a fan.
So for years I saw clips, and it wasn't until maybe 2 years ago I watched it from start to finish. It's the weirdest thing I've ever seen with Chewbacca's, which is a Wookiee family in a little suburban household. It felt like, man, like it felt like a sitcom. Almost.
Is it on Disney?
No.
But
this is how bad it is.
It's on YouTube. I watched the whole movie on YouTube.
Doc, this is how bad it is. George Lucas later wanted to buy every copy in the world and burn it
and destroy it.
They essentially want to do
it. And then, like, when
put it in the desert,
when Carrie Fisher would have events at her house, she would threaten people to play the holiday special just so she could get them out of the house.
Oh, it's so bad, man.
That's how bad it is.
It's a piece of work. It's a piece of work where you're like, how?
If you watch the Star Wars Lego movie holiday special, that's a good one.
The more y'all talk about it, the more it just makes me want to watch.
Well, that's what got me. I had seen clips for years, and I was like, this can't be real. That was my first assumption. This can't be real.
Please don't do it.
Hey, you got to, man.
I got to.
No.
Just so you can say you have.
Like, go up the banner, gems. Doc, don't watch the holiday special.
I got you, man.
Don't do it.
Both of y'all are to watch. I gotta go watch.
Take it from me. Don't do it. It's okay.
I feel like I'm missing something. I got to check it out.
You can miss it. Eat chocolate instead. Replace it with chocolate.
You know, it's one of those movies or one of those things or specials you have to watch to say. For me, I have to watch. Or you I gotta see how bad it really is. That's how I felt.
Those lines. Just don't do it.
We've done that before.
Remember the DARE program. You can say no.
But you're talking to somebody that watched the movie 10,000 BC. If I can sit through that, come on now, I got to watch.
This is nothing like 10,000 BC.
But on a scale of bad movies, it would be like, boy, that Fantastic Four was terrible.
Which one? The one
The
with
one
Michael
with-
B. Jordan?
Yeah, that one. But I had to watch it just so I could know how bad it was.
Yeah, I did too. That's why I watched it.
We're gluttons for punishment.
People who are watching, I'm trying. For those of us who were tormented, I'm trying to help Doc. But if he so chooses, he becomes a real fan. I mean, he's a fan already, but it's just more solidified.
So, Jen, any other Easter eggs or little things? Because I saw that, I was like, that had to be something. I'm glad it reminded me of that.
There's a lot of Easter eggs in this one. I would have to go back and rewatch, which I'm
What's
going
one
to
of
do
your
anyway.
What's one of your favorite ones, though? Have we talked about one a favorite so far?
You know what? I don't know if I have a favorite yet because they're all different in each episode. There hasn't been one that I was like, wow, that's a good one. I haven't had that. So yeah, we'll just keep watching and we'll see. We'll see what happens. I mean, there like the only other Easter eggs were like there was a lot of 80s references. In this episode.
It's a very 80s sort of vibe a bit with the adventure movies like we talked about in the first first two episodes.
Yep.
So I'm enjoying it. Doc, anything else? Because what I want to do, we'll give an overall sort of score, I guess. We're doing scores now, I guess. We'll see how long we do that for. Just because we
will probably just keep being the same. I'm sorry, everyone.
Yeah, and that's why I was like, we love this show right now, right?
Yeah.
So
fans are loving it. Fans are loving it.
So we'll keep that off. So from this episode ending for Jen and Doc, I'll ask you first. With what we know now, with the coordinates not there, where do we go from here?
That was going to be my question. Where do we go from here? So do you go to one of those other planets that we do have the coordinates to see if the coordinates for Achrann were destroyed from them? Because if this planet looks exactly like Achrann, who stands at you or at Akko or those other planets don't look exactly.
Akoda, yeah. Or a Raven and Atu.
We gotta think. There's probably tribes and other people on those planets too.
I mean,
making it even worse.
This also ties into the Acolyte with that planet they were studying, that they were told to go study because it survives the hyperspace disaster from one of the High Republic books, and there's still a civilization on it.
On there.
So if this planet was destroyed by Palpatine, whether if it was by him directly from a staff, because like that one particular helmet that's from the Empire, it's like, oh, how did you get that? That's interesting. Or pirates came and raided it. Then there's the possibility that these other planets have other people that have survived on it.
But on another thought I had, because I don't really know what KB is. I don't know if she's a like half android, half human or whatever. But I'm thinking to myself, we got 4 more episodes. What if she figures out a way to rewire SM-33 to where she can get the coordinates?
That's a possibility because she does say in the episode, I think we can probably fix his memory. She was examining him.
Like 10 million, something like that, she said.
Yeah. Like to her, that wasn't a big thing. It was like, wow. No, because that's the other possibility, because now that 33 has his memory back, that means he must have the coordinates.
Yep. So that was just my thoughts, man. And overall,
because the other coordinates were on the stone, so you could just easily take those coordinates down.
Yep.
And take them back to the starship.
And that's why I was saying, like, they probably go to one of those other planets if they can't get SM-33 to act right. If he gonna wake up and want to rip everybody's limbs off, he got to stay off. You know what I'm saying? So they might just have to go visit another planet to see if they can find another supervisor's tower with the coordinates on it.
Mm-hmm.
So we are halfway there. Jen, anything like that? Is that sort of how you see the next sort of step going? What do you think? What are those next steps?
I mean, I'm wondering if they're going to go with the obvious choice and try to reprogram 33 to get more information out of him, but then to see if the high possibility he knows what the coordinates are. I mean, because he was told to destroy them, so he must have them. So that's probably the obvious choice, but probably to what Doc said, if they can't get him to Achrann, he's just going to keep literally trying to rip limbs off children. They have to keep him off. So the second obvious thing is, okay, we have a bunch of coordinates to a bunch of planets. Let's go to the next one.
Yeah, man. We're at the midway point here for the season.
Yeah. So that's the other thing too. Like, if we only have 4 episodes left, that's not enough time to go to 8 other planets.
Nope.
Unless we do a classic 80s montage, which I'm all down for.
Oh.
I am down for that.
If they do that, thank you. We still have to hear Urkel say, "Did I do
because
that?"
I was going to say, man, we still got to get these other pirates that's going to show up eventually.
So yeah, because I'm expecting, I might just be wishful thinking, but I'm expecting, or I hope, those last 3 episodes we're all, and which is going to be, it's kind of bad because I'm going to say like, hey, next episode they get home, and then the next 3 episodes it's just we're finding out everything about Aden. Here come the pirates in to Aden, and those last 3 episodes
our ship's
like a movie. Yeah, like a movie. That's what I would want, because this was probably the shortest episode we've had so far.
It was pretty short.
Maybe episode 2 was one.
I think this one is shorter than 2.
Yeah, so they're gearing us up. I would hope for a pretty epic ending to season 1. But
I think it's going to be good. I mean, like, with these episodes being so different, but then building on each other well, they're leading to something big, I think.
My thing, you got me as long as you keep me guessing. And I've been guessing from
love it when I can't figure it out.
Exactly. I'm like, wait, a suburban community on a planet? I've never seen this in Star Wars. Aside from the Christmas special where the inside was like a...
Did you have to bring
Now, we might have watch that together and just record.
No! I'm about to watch
it. No.
I'm about to watch it, y'all. I'm telling y'all, I'm about to watch it, y'all.
Do a watch along. That'd be hilarious. But anything else from... We won't do a score because obviously we love this one.
But... during the watch along. So yeah, this part... So this was shot this way. This only took like 1 take. This one took 1,000,000 takes. It's really weird.
It was so just weird, man. But anyway, that's been our review and breakdown and reactions and gems and everything else of episode 4. It was Neel's coming out party because we loved him from episode 1, but this was Neel's episode. This was him. All he wants is peace. That's it.
That's it.
That's all he's asking for.
Protect him. That's why we protect. Do not hurt him.
You know what? Could you imagine the backlash if they're
the Star Wars fan base, the way it will rise up?
No,
and
they would
tear the industry down. Do it over a character. Do it over a character. See what happens.
We're gonna burn it to the ground.
See what happens. Just go ahead. I'm gonna watch.
I'm talking if Neel break a fingernail, they might have a fit.
I was upset he couldn't breathe through his trunk.
Yeah. I was saying protect Neel at all costs.
The moment he says I can't breathe, I'm like, what? Fix it.
Somebody fix it. Get us water or something. Put it on his nose.
What do we have to do to get the baby to breathe?
He's definitely our favorite new character in the Star Wars universe.
Oh yeah.
I hope these kids do conventions because I'm going to go meet Neel.
Yeah.
That would be great. Because there's a separate actor and then there's a separate voice actor for Neel. So that's going to be pretty.
I want to meet both variants.
Really?
Variants. Yeah, there's an actor for it, and then there's a voice actor.
A voice actor for it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
A different voice actor, which I'm pretty sure I looked that up at the beginning of the season. So, but no, convention circles, they're gonna be it's gonna be great to just hear kids. And William, he was the voice of the kid in Encanto. Was that the one with the Bruno? We don't talk about Bruno. Was that that one? He was the little boy. Yeah, he was the little boy.
Oh, Antonio! Oh my gosh, I love Antonio. Oh my gosh, I have a cousin named Antonio. I was like, oh my gosh, he's I'm so happy.
Yeah, so Jen, let the people know where they can find you. I know we did at the beginning of the show too, but they made it to the end of here. Let them know where they can find.
I'm on the internet. I'm on Instagram. I'm on TikTok. You can find me on TikTok and Instagram at Nerdiqua. That's my personal handle. And then my other Instagram, rocking_your_bald for my podcast, Rocking Your Bald. Check it out. It's a lot of fun.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, definitely check that out and follow Jen. She is just information when you need to know stuff for Star Wars. If you got questions, she got it.
Ask Jen, yeah.
Everyone at work knows. Like if they ask me anything about Star Wars, they're like, "Oh no, why did you ask her something? Why?" She won't stop.
And so Doc, close us out, man. I know we got 4 more episodes left, but let people know where they can find us and what we got coming out, man.
Hey, y'all already know where y'all can find us. Y'all can find us on YouTube, TikTok, as long as we got it, Facebook and Instagram at All Star Fandom Show. Y'all come check us out. Come follow us. Come like, come share, and subscribe. Drop a comment. We talk back. It's been myself, Doc, Jen, and Dion, and we out this thing.
Thanks for watching.
Later.